The transport ship Valkyrie's Dawn descended through the crimson atmosphere of designation 7749, a planet the Galactic Coalition had classified as Class 13, the highest threat level in their database. Inside the cargo hold, 500 of humanity's finest soldiers stood in perfect formation, their powered armor gleaming under the emergency lights. Among them were Emily Chen, a decorated combat medic with nerves of steel, and Erling Magnusson, a towering Norwegian rifleman known for his unwavering courage. Class 13, whispered a young private beside Emily. They say nothing. Survives a Class 13, Emily checked her medical supplies one final time. Then we'll be the first, she replied, though her voice carried less conviction than her words suggested. Erling stood nearby, his massive frame making even the military-grade armor look small. He caught Emily's eye and offered a slight nod, a gesture of solidarity. They'd shared through countless missions. They'd served together for 3 years, and in that time, an unspoken bond had formed between them. The planet below was a nightmare made manifest when the Coalition discovered an ancient alien artifact buried deep within its crust. They deemed it worth any cost to retrieve. The artifact supposedly contained technology that could revolutionize space travel, ending humanity's reliance on the alien-controlled jump gates. But 7749 had other plans. The landing was chaos from the start. The moment the Valkyrie's Dawn breached the lower atmosphere, something attacked, not with weapons, but with the planet itself. The sky turned alive with electromagnetic storms that fried half their systems. Trees, if they could be called trees, reached up with appendages that crushed landing craft. Like tin cans, the ground itself seemed to reject their presence, opening up in massive sinkholes that swallowed entire platoons whole. Emily's transport made it down, barely. Erling's landed 3 kilometers away. The plan had been to converge on the artifact site, but plans meant nothing on a Class 13 world. Within hours, the army of 500 had been reduced to scattered groups fighting for survival. Emily's unit encountered the first of the planet's true horrors, creatures that seemed to phase in and out of reality, their forms constantly shifting between dimensions. They attacked with an intelligence that suggested hive coordination, always striking at the weakest points in their formation. Emily fought alongside her squad, administering combat stims and sealing wounds even as the world around them descended into hell. She watched good soldiers, people she'd shared meals and stories with, disappear into the hungry earth or torn apart by creatures that shouldn't exist. 3 days into the mission, Emily's unit was down to 12 people. They'd made contact with only 2 other surviving groups via radio before the signals went dead. One of those groups was Erling's. He was still alive, still fighting, and somehow that knowledge kept Emily moving forward. On the 4th day, something changed. The attacks stopped. The planet went silent in a way that was more terrifying than the constant assault. Emily's commanding officer, Captain Rodriguez, made the call to push toward the artifact site. "It's our only chance," he said, though everyone knew he meant it was their only chance to make their deaths mean something. They found Erling's group, or what remained of it. 7 soldiers, Erling among them, emerged from a cave system looking like they'd aged years in mere days. The reunion between Emily and Erling was brief but profound. No words were exchanged, just a moment where their eyes met and confirmed they were both still human, still fighting. The combined force of 19 soldiers pushed toward the coordinates of the artifact. The planet seemed to watch them, waiting. When they reached the site, they understood why. The artifact wasn't buried, it was the planet. Or rather, the planet had grown around it, incorporating it into its very structure. The technology the Coalition wanted so desperately had become the heart of a living, thinking world. Captain Rodriguez reached for the artifact, determined to complete the mission. That's when 7749 struck with its full fury. Emily never fully remembered what happened next. There were flashes, the ground splitting open, creatures pouring out of reality itself. Erling's voice shouting her name. She remembered Rodriguez being pulled into the earth, screaming about duty until the soil filled his mouth. She remembered trying to save a private named Jackson, watching helplessly as something impossible took him apart molecule by molecule. And she remembered Erling pushing her toward an escape pod. They'd spotted a damaged one from the initial landing, but potentially functional. Go. He'd roared, holding off 3 creatures that moved faster than thought. Someone has to tell them. Someone has to warn them. Not without you. Emily had screamed back, but Erling was already moving, using his body as a shield. Buying her seconds that felt like hours, she'd reach the pod. She'd look back one final time to see Erling standing alone, surrounded by the dying and the dead. Still firing, still fighting. Their eyes met across the chaos one last time. Then Emily sealed the pod and launched. The Valkyrie's Dawn had long since fled the system, but the pod's beacon was picked up by a coalition patrol ship 2 weeks later. They found Emily, barely alive, her mind fractured by what she'd witnessed in the debriefing. Emily told them everything. She told them that Class 13 wasn't just a danger rating, it was a warning. She told them that some planets weren't meant to be touched, that some artifacts weren't worth the price, but mostly, she told them about Erling, about how he'd stood against an impossible world so that one person could escape, about how 500 soldiers had been sent to a death world, and only one had returned because of the courage of one. Manned up, the coalition classified the mission as a total loss and sealed all records of designation 7-7-9. The artifact would remain forever beyond their reach. But Emily made sure that Erling's name and the names of all 500 soldiers were never forgotten. She spent the rest of her life telling their story, a story of humanity's courage in the face of cosmic horror, and of the soldier who'd made sure their sacrifice wasn't in vain.